And welcome to Fanalysis, where we combine the analytics used in fantasy football with the metrics of sports betting. The results are the sharpest angles every week, and the man who finds that edge is a sports handicapper you can find on Twitter, known as Old Man Who Bets. Geoff Sheasby is not an old man, but he always comes up with the best top plays of the week. And Geoff, I want to look at your top plays this week and start things off with the Bills. They are 3-point favorites against the Raiders, and last year the Bills made the playoffs really because of their dominating defense. This year, it's their offense leading the way.
Yeah, this is an interesting one here. I think at first glance, we've got the Buffalo Bills -3 on the road, coming off a pretty big win. It's a little bit of a small line for sure, but this is one of those trap lines that I'm willingly taking. When we look under the hood a little bit here, we see Buffalo with an offensive efficiency of 6th, a defensive efficiency, Steve, to your point, of 24th. That is a little surprising when we think about it. And the way that they're getting it done on offense has been through the air. We knew Josh Allen was great with his legs, but he's looked tremendous with his new toy, Mr. Stephon Diggs. He's thrown for 312 yards, 415 yards, 311 yards, and that's Diggs going 8 for 86, 8 for 153, and a pedestrian 4 for 49 last week. But still saw 2 touchdowns in that 3-game stretch. And these Bills, they're scoring points, 27 versus the Jets, 31 versus Miami, 35 versus the Rams. And then we enter the Raiders. The Raiders aren't exactly, locked down on defense by any means. They're 31st in terms of defensive efficiency. That is a total liability for the Buffalo Bills to not bring it. The Raiders, of course, have been scoring points on offense, but they're supposed to be without their 2 wide receivers, Ruggs and Bryan Edwards. So that leaves them with, I would say, a bit of a downgrade on the offensive side.
Okay, but maybe they do have, at least if they do have one exploitable matchup on the Raiders' offensive side, it could be tight end. Is that an area that is exploitable enough to see the Raiders put points on the board?
I think points on the board, yes. I don't think enough points on the board to keep up with their defensive liability. Again, -3, a very small line, a little bit of a trap. I think if anything, I think we can look to an interesting prop on Darren Waller, maybe receptions or reception yards. The Bills have allowed tight ends to score this year. Gesicki on Miami went 8 for 130 and a touchdown. The Rams combined tight ends between Higbee and Everett went 4 for 74. So I would expect to see Waller getting targeted early and often. But I don't think the combination of Jacobs, Waller, and Renfro, as good as they are as individual players, will be enough to take down a fully stocked Bills offense.
Let's turn our attention to another one of your top plays. The Niners are 7-point favorites over the Eagles, and all indications show that the Niners are going to be the backup quarterback for the 3rd straight game. How hard is it to write a favorite if that favorite has a backup quarterback?
It's always challenging, especially with a line as big as -7, but I see that as line strength. And if anything, if we want to talk about backup quarterbacks, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are wondering, where's their backup quarterback, Nick Foles, who's now lighting it up in Chicago? We look at Philadelphia through 3 weeks here. Quite frankly, this offense has been mediocre, and that's even sugarcoating it. When we look at their rankings, their wide receivers are ranked 43rd, 67th, and 71st out of 81, all bottom of the barrel. Their tight ends are ranked 24th and 39th out of 43 eligible tight ends, and one of them is hurt this week. Their offensive line, in terms of pass protection, 27th out of 32, and that's truly mediocre. Normally when we're seeing a team start a backup quarterback, they're not going to be favored by 7. They've got injuries on both sides of the ball, and it doesn't really even seem to matter.
We see here the Niners get the Jets, the Giants, and now the Eagles. This is a really light portion of the schedule here for the 49ers. Does that certainly bode well? I mean, are they essentially facing the same team for the 3rd straight week?
Honestly, when we look at the stats here, it seems similar to that. The Jets defense, of course, ranked 14th overall. And then the Niners were able to win 31-13. The Giants defense, 18th overall, 36-9 final there. And then the Eagles here, we got 15th overall. So this offense should be able to move the ball kind of however they want to throw it, however they want to run it, whoever's on the field. Nick Mullins tossed for 343 yards last week. After the Giants sold out to stop the run. McKinnon and Jeff Wilson were 26 for 53 combined. And that's a week after those 2 running back Mostert and McKinnon, before he got hurt, had 11 carries for 169 yards and 2 TDs. So I think in short, the 49ers will find a way to move the ball. The Jets, the Giants, and the Eagles all have very similar ratings, both offensive and defensively. We've saw 2 blownouts. I'm banking on the third. Give me the San Francisco 49ers at -7.
All right, well, let's get to the third top play for you. And the Rams giving 12.5 to the Giants. We've talked a lot about. The funny thing is, this line hasn't moved at all since really the look-ahead line. It's been stuck at 12.5 the entire time, and 12.5 still might not be enough for this game.
Yeah, we talked about what would be enough last week with the Jets. I think we settled around 16.5 or maybe 17.
And that
even
wouldn't have done.
wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is another one that, I think the Giants are just too much of a liability here. Their offense is ranked 31st in the league in terms of efficiency. Their defense is 18th. And this is a Rams offense that quite literally should be ticked off. They lost a game against Buffalo with a questionable defensive pass interference. And their offense was playing spectacular. Goff is coming off 300 yards. Henderson ran for 100. Kupp had 9 for 107. Woods had 5 for 74, another 30 on the ground. And then when we look against this matchup with the Giants defense, they dropped to 18th in terms of defensive efficiency, much closer to their 28th ranked defense last year than their 7th ranked defense after 2 weeks this year. So I think we were seeing an offense that was, a defense that was being elevated by the lack of matchups they had. They had a rusty Big Ben in week 1. They had a Trubisky-led Chicago Bears in week 2. And then, week 3, even with backups, they get absolutely slaughtered by the San Francisco 49ers. When you see a quarterback like Mullins throwing for 343 yards, a team that loves to run the ball, their backup quarterback 300 yards, that's going to be tough to contain.
Tough to endure, especially since it doesn't even seem like the Giants have any weapons to help dig themselves out of this funk. But for now, just ride the other side of the line. That is a look at his top plays for the week. Make sure you check out our other segment on early Super Bowl futures bets. For Geoff Sheasby, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.